Everyone should be able to hear me, and no doubt that you can. Of course, I'm not going to ask if you can, because that would be a sign of me not being a narcissist. And I'm trying to live up to that. Awesome. All right, we're 5 after. We're 5 after. Let's get going. Today is October 6th, a couple of weeks away from Halloween. If you're into that, I wonder if people will actually be, how many people will actually be doing the trick-or-treating, because that seems like seems like people might actually come in contact with one another. That would be bad. So very good. That was something of a rhetorical question, I guess. All right, as we get up and going, do we have any first timers on today's call? Is anybody on this community call for the first time, even if you've been on a different call? I see.
I think Jethro Magaji.
Jethro, I think had you been on? I know you've spoken on a different call. Have you been on the community call before?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been in this call, once, but yeah. So
Okay.
it was actually the first call I attended before the newcomers meeting.
Oh, got you. Okay. This one runs slightly differently. A lot the same, but slightly differently. The thing is, Jethro, at this point, you're almost old news. Not quite, just because you haven't been on this call, and that means that there are people that join this call that haven't gotten to know you or get introduced to you. Do you mind just saying a quick hi and telling people where you're calling in from? And
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Jethro, and I'm a front-end developer and a UX UI designer. I'm calling in from Nigeria. Yeah. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, you're coming through pretty clear, actually.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, Jethro, no pressure, but just so that everyone else gets a bit more familiar with you. Most of us and on the call are familiar with the Layer5.io website, and most of us are familiar with the fact that that's undergoing an overhaul. What people might not know is that I've got my fingers crossed that Jethro is going to take a crack at a couple of new designs. And so, Jethro, when the time is right, people on this call have all kinds of opinions and feedback to give. So, we'll hold our breath until you have a design or two to show off.
All right, thanks. I hope I can handle it.
Good, cool. All right, fair enough. Anyone else? Eduardo Alvarez, have you been on one of these calls before? Has it just been a while?
Hi. My name is Eduardo. I'm from Guatemala. I'm a software developer. I've been in a meeting on Wednesday. This Wednesday was my first meeting. Yeah. I'm happy to be here and collaborate.
Nice. Oh, fantastic. Eduardo, do you have, I can't help but ask, do you happen to be familiar with I forget what it stands for, the CCOSS conference? I think last year it was based in Guatemala.
No, I'm not familiar with. Okay.
We'll talk about it a little bit today. It might be right in your backyard. We'll see. It's a virtual conference this year, but so I think home base might be in your backyard, or your front yard. Cool. All right, fair enough. Well, just a reminder to everyone, toss your name into the attendees list if you're on. We do have a number of people. Actually, Eduardo's up first as just being an individual to welcome to the community. So, Eduardo, this is your second call already. So that's great. There's a number of other folks who've joined this week. Some individuals to have had some prior conversations with. So I don't know that Radoslav is on right now, but and a few others. There's some others that joined this week because they were attending. Well, let's skip down in the meeting minutes a little bit and let's make the font bigger, shall we? There we go. A few newcomers joined this week based on having attended 2 workshops that were given. So Abhishek Kumar, who's on the call now, and I had spent some time, and Kush Trivedi had spent some time delivering a couple of workshops this through O'Reilly, and we'll continue to deliver a few sessions of those. But the reason that I bring them up, one, because there's a reason. One, because they're of interest to the community here. They teach people about service meshes by using Meshery, and they show people service mesh performance, one of the other projects that you all work on. And because that's why a few of these folks have jumped into the community, because they joined the Slack while they were going through the workshops. Since I bounced around and started about this, I think third reason why I talk all is because the materials for those workshops are available to all of you. Hopefully my internet connection is stable enough. I just got a message saying that it wasn't, but the materials to these workshops are available to all of you. And you'll find the workshop material on layer5.io/workshops. So there are slides and there are self-study labs. And so good. So we got a lot of newcomers to welcome. That's fantastic. I'm going to talk about these events quickly to kind of get them out of the way. So we talked about some workshops. There's an upcoming talk at Openstack Summit. So Meshery and SMP, the service mesh performance spec, they will be talked about in this talk. As a matter of fact, it's a virtual conference and that talk has already been recorded. So in some respects, they've already been talked about. KubeCon coming up, we're going to give at least members of this community will give this talk. It'll talk about Meshery as well. There'll be another talk that's not listed here. We had been asked to or accepted to speak at Service Mesh Con. That's a day 0 event. It's an add-on to KubeCon. And for my part, I was going to participate in delivering that talk and canceled, decided not to accept. It takes a lot on my plate for me to actually call it what it is, which is overflowing. And so, we'll get them next time. But part of the reason it's important to spend a little bit of time here is just to say some of your works are being trumpeted. They're being trumpeted on stage. Eventually, these stages are very much so intended to be shared. So a number of you have expressed interest in presenting or getting assistance on some of your submittals when you're submitting to a call for paper. For my part, I'm here to help, or especially if you're talking about things that you're doing in this community. So, oh, thank you, Shivai. Yeah, here's a link to the other one. So, all right, fair enough. I'm going to maybe talk on one or two other things, and then hopefully we'll hear from others in the community. So on this general community call, we end up talking about a lot of different things. One of those is the fact that HashiConf just happened this last week. Did anyone tune in to HashiConf? Even if just for a session? So Mihu didn't. And so there's a number of interesting things to talk about that are sort of on the side of service mesh. They're definitely related to, I would think, to a lot of things that everyone here does. Two new, I'll just mention their names and not talk about them, which was, there were two new product, I guess is the right way to refer to them, product/project announcements. One of them is Boundary, the other one is Waypoint. They're intriguing projects, but also announced at the conference was Console 1.9, which is a new release of Console. So that's important to us, actually important to Mihu and to others that are that interact with this service mesh. I'm gonna pull it up. I was the product manager for Console, or there are about 3 of them, I think. But the one that ends up focusing a lot on, or is the product manager for the service mesh capabilities in Console, Blake, he is a frequenter of this meeting. He's not on today. I was hoping he might be able to be up early. He lives on the Pacific coast, but hoping that he would be up early to tell us a bit about some of the announced capabilities. There's a couple of them that, I mean, all of them are hopefully of interest to all of you. And hopefully shortly, the mesh adapter for Console might start to support this latest release. One item that a few of you are working on in the community, a few of you are working on a visualization, topology visualization for Meshery. And I'll note that you're not the only one, or that Console is also trying to provide visualization to users. And so I haven't seen a screenshot quite on what this looks like, but if someone finds one before the call is over, I'd be interested in seeing it. So nice. So Console 1.9. Console, wow, this last year, what a massive set of functionality that they've packed into from 1.5 to 1.9. So they've done well. Okay, any comments, questions on this topic?
So I just add one question that was, I guess it is something that was discussed way back, probably a few months back, that the console adapter had to be updated so that we could get the latest from HashiCorp. So is that something that has already started, or there's still some like code that needs to be fixed for the mesh adapter for console?
I am putting a sub bullet here with the name of, yeah, very good.
Yeah, hi, my name is Michael, and I've been working with the console adapter, and it's updated to 1.8, and I've been working on together with Abhishek on updating to the latest, newest design, and actually had a plan to together with Abhishek maybe present that on one of the next developer meetings. So the adaptation, the refactoring of the console adapter based on the brand new Meshery adapter library based on Abhishek's code. And I think it would be nice if, so this innovating actually clear to be, for a PR to be created and merged. Probably a good thing to present the design and have a discussion around this. And then based on that, if it's accepted, then I could add console 1.9. That would be really exciting.
It really is. And it might be something that we can, that we can dig into on this call as well.
Yeah.
I'm recognizing that it's a little more, it might get a little deep.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put it as a topic at the bottom just to.
Yeah.
But Shivai, does that help? I think the answer really to what you were asking, Shivai, is that yes, Michu in particular has come through and given a pretty decent overhaul to the current adapter that's there, and he did so in the today's architectural structure for what a mesh adapter is. And then he's saying that he and a few others in the community have been working on like sort of I guess sort of a V2 architecture for the adapters, and to have us stop repeating ourselves across each of them, because they do a lot of common functionality. And so he and others are working to pull that common functionality out, have it centralized in a common library. There's a V3, if you will, of Meshery adapter architecture that I dare say that we may not be ready for yet, but that this V3 had always been a question as to whether or not we should have started there or not. And that is potentially having adapters as custom Kubernetes controllers. So some re-architecture there, but Shivai, does that cover it? Nice. Okay, good. I think I assume so. Well, next up, Abhishek, do you want to introduce this topic?
Yeah. So I'll be presenting a demo of what we had introduced in the workshop, the STO workshop that we had last Wednesday, which is an Envoy, which is to onboard an Envoy filter on the STO service mesh from the Meshery dashboard. So let me go ahead, share my screen. Lee, can I share my screen?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about asking if you might have a way of increasing your volume at all on your.
Oh, okay. Just a second. Am I audible now? Great. Okay. Nice. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And so I've got my Meshery booted up in my local, and that's the dashboard here. And so I've introduced this feature only on STO service mesh currently, because that's the service mesh that has Envoy filter CRDs available currently. So basically so a background here, basically what we're going to do is that we will be patching the Istio proxy sidecars, which is running with Envoy as a proxy, and we will be patching it to add more futuristic functionalities like rate limiting or whatever the operation you want to do. So what WASM filters are basically is that they are a sample program or a sandbox program, which is returned and executed inside a segregated environment. They don't need so they run independently of wherever we run it. So what we're trying to do here is that uh, we write a program that would intercept all the calls that come into on the proxies, and by intercepting, we would do our modifications, or we would do our function. We will implement our functionalities in them. So we have a project called Image Hub, which is on Layer5, uh, which which has a sample Envoy filter that that implements rate limiting, and here inside this rate limit filter folder, you will be finding the source of that. So I had a compiled version of this this filter that I'm going to onboard in Istio. Now let's go ahead try it once. So for this demo, we will be needing Istio installed in our cluster. So I'm running my Docker desktop, and it's quite a fresh installation. Yeah. So so basically, I'm going to install Istio first, and then we'll be installing a sample application which is called Image Hub. And Image Hub has a couple of APIs, and we'll be operating and testing it on one particular API. Uh, and yeah, so after installing the sample application, uh, we'll be onboarding our filter from this particular option here. And by clicking this, what this does is basically it patches your proxy containers or Istio with our filter enabled. So great. Okay. So that's a false positive actually. We have Istio installed in our cluster. I have the control plane and the gateway is installed and running. So let's quickly go ahead and install the sample application, which is the Image Hub. So yeah, so the application is also installed, and by default I've installed it in the default namespace here. So let's go ahead watch for the pods. So it has two services. This sample application has two services. One is the API, which has a set of APIs uh, that the web application would use, and the web is just an interface where we can interact and do stuff. So yeah, the applications are up now. Let's go ahead and check it out once. So here there is an API for image hub, which is called /pull, and which displays a sample output saying hello, welcome to DockerCon, because this was presented in DockerCon last time. So yeah, so we are going to introduce a filter to intercept calls on this particular API currently. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Basically, all you need to do is click on this option, and it would, in the background under the hood, it would patch the proxy containers. So once you patch the proxy containers, it would recreate the pod, and once this pod gets initialized, it will have the patch history proxy running. So yeah, so it's done. So if you try to refresh this, you'll have unauthorized, because this particular the filter that we install, it does a rate limiting based on authorization headers, and because I didn't pass any authorization here, I'm getting unauthorized. And also, there is one more interesting thing about this filter is that it would rewrite the response headers and include a custom header which is called X request, and this particular header is introduced by the filter. So yeah, this is pretty much what the filter does currently. But our future cases and our roadmap are that we would have an option here to get a dashboard which to get a hoverboard which would give me options to put in the filter that I want to install or the namespace I want to install in, etc. So this is just a prototype model that we introduced, but we will continue to work on this to make its functionality even more diverse. Uh, yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show.
Questions for
If
Abhishek?
someone has some questions, I'm here to answer.
Now, here's the thing. Because you're not asking any questions, my hunch is that it's not entirely clear what's going on in just how exciting the demo is that Abhishek is. But that's just my guess. And I would love for any of you to prove me wrong, to tell me that no, you totally get what's happening there. Does anybody want to take a crack at that? Does anybody? So by the way, we're in a safe zone. This is I learn as much as any of the rest of you every day do. So let's make use of the time. Does anybody want to try to explain what just happened?
I'm still new, so I'm still trying to get a grip on the whole process and what y'all are doing. So that's me.
I'm new too, but I guess that it's like a type of redundancy from the two Dockers that were running. That's what I understand, but I'm not quite sure right now.
Anybody else? Anybody else is gonna so Stephen and Eduardo are going to learn today because they put themselves out there. Who else wants to take something away from today? Who else wants to give a crack at? It's actually not that this is particularly hard or anything. It's actually just rather important because this type of a capability begins to shift the landscape of what it means to run a service mesh. And so I honestly don't mean to torture any of you with like making you feel awkward to have to take a guess or to try to articulate it. Truly the point is because it is so that hopefully everyone learns. Abhishek did a fine job of introducing it. I'll hit it one more time, maybe from a different perspective, and that's to say that as you take an application, this is an example one, no doubt a number of you have seen this before. The application isn't special. It actually doesn't really work. It's just a silly sample app. It's the sample app that comes with Istio. The application itself, it's called Book Info. And this is what it looks like. It looks like this. It's just it's basically a one-page thing. And if you sit here and refresh, you'll notice that you see some red stars and black stars and sometimes no stars. And so that's about the extent of the functionality of the app. You can kind of make up a user and sign in, and that's it. So it's just a sample app to play around with a service mesh and to understand how service meshes operate a bit. In context of what Abhishek was just showing, like this is a logical diagram of this app. So there's the reviews service with red stars right now. That means it's black stars. So that means that when I refreshed that time, I hit version 2. When I had refreshed before, I had hit version 3 because it was red stars. And so the service mesh right now is just round robining. it's just load balancing across these 3 different versions of that review service. And he deployed this app. Yep, go ahead.
Is that Python calling these different versions of Java? I mean, that's a Python symbol, right?
Yeah, you're right. Totally. Yes, is the answer. That this app is made up of 4 independent services, and each of the, yeah, you're totally like this product page written in Python, and it's web pages. And in order for it to show, so when someone loads the page, it reaches out and grabs some details about a given book down, from a Ruby app. And it also, it ends up getting directed to one of these 3 versions of the review service. The review service written in Java will reach over to the rating service, which actually persists and stores the stars. And so
are they all containers?
Yeah.
Everything's a container, right?
Right.
Okay.
So in this case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 containers. This is diagrammed.
Gotcha.
So say it one more time.
So just like it's like every version, it's like an update, right? So the request is, in this case, round robin between the 3 options. And when, you in the deployment, you can have like the, how do you say, backward compatibility, right? Something like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because during the deployment, you might figure out that you're rolling out the 3rd version, and it turns out people hate red stars for whatever reason. And instead of sending their requests over to get red stars, you just quickly redirect the traffic back to V2 and a service mesh.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you guys are, very good. You guys are tracking very well. So this is illustrated as an application which is composed of different services, a product service, a details service, reviews service, rating. One of those services, reviews, it has 3 versions. So there's 3 containers, each one running a different. And then the way that this is diagrammed is that these 4 services are running in Kubernetes. We just didn't diagram Kubernetes here, but this is the traffic flow. So my web browser is over here making a request. My web browser only touches, really it interfaces with the web page, and the web page on my behalf, on my request's behalf, it goes out and pulls in the rest of the info. The thing is this is what your brain looks like on drugs. This is what a service mesh looks like. I'm sorry, what the application looks like when you deploy it on a service mesh. Not all service meshes will look like this, but the architectural model that Istio follows looks like this. So what ends up happening is you end up placing an intelligent network proxy, which is a small application that's written to handle HTTP and GRE and other, it's written to handle network traffic and requests and being intelligent. Like, hey, maybe you don't just want to do simple round robin load balancing. Rather, you wanted to do weighted round robin or least connections or something more intelligent. So it's capable of doing a lot of those things. Like, just like Eduardo was saying, it's capable of splitting a percentage of traffic to go over here, or maybe just allowing only when Eduardo is signed in, only Eduardo gets to check out the new version and then figure out if it's okay or not. And so that's kind of today's genre of many service meshes sort of look like this when you deploy an app on the mesh. You get a lot of intelligent proxies and a ton of control, very fine-grained control over where traffic is going and visibility into it and security over it. It's great. Now, what Abhishek was doing is taking it one step further and introducing another level of dynamicism, if I can use that word. You can see it articulated a little bit if you go to meshery.io, you can see this next level of dynamicism diagrammed here. Since this is a small diagram, I'm just going to pull it up here because it's bigger. Same thing. So when you look at so I'm going to do this really fast, actually. I was going to do, I didn't realize we only have 20 minutes left. We've got a lot of other topics. We can talk about this stuff a bunch more later. I'll send you recordings or what have you. The data plane here is where you put all those proxies, the Envoy proxies that we were seeing before. Put a lot of them there. You put the like Istio's brain, Istio's control plane here, and it manages all those proxies and manages their config. And up here on top of all that, and on top of all of the other meshes, you'll put something like Meshery, a management plane, and it'll let you do a lot of stuff. We're still building, all of you are still building out what Meshery does. One of the things that Abhishek was just working on as a follow-up to work that others had done in the community was the ability to insert an additional filter, which is to say that when we're looking at this diagram, what he was doing is, let's say that this Envoy image, maybe we're running a certain version of Envoy, and it was capable of handling HTTP traffic and intelligently understanding that it's HTTP traffic and looking at headers and maybe modifying them and doing different things, looking to see if Eduardo is signed in or not. And Envoy is capable of doing that. Well, maybe we're using NATS or Kafka or like a message bus that has a different layer 7 protocol. And if Envoy doesn't have the smarts to really inspect that protocol, well, you can, it's extensible. You can write a network, you can write a filter that you can build into Envoy and teach it how to speak NATS or speak Kafka. And it used to be that if you were to do that, okay, well, you need to go compile that in and build an Envoy image and then go redeploy your service mesh to use that new version of Envoy and kind of like, you know. And what Abhishek was showing is that, well, there's some emergent capabilities here that where you can just, you can dynamically insert a filter, a network filter, and uninsert it. You can load it and unload it. And that becomes even more powerful. It really opens up a few new things. And what he showed is that really for the first time that Meshery is doing that. Meshery is inserting this network filter. So. Good. No doubt people have questions and comments and also are wondering why did we take 20 minutes to talk about that one little thing? I suspect, and that's because it doesn't change the game. It just significantly enhances the service mesh game. And for the last 1.5 to 2 years, it's been something that for my part, I've been waiting for us to kind of get to. It's exciting. Okay, anyway, is Anirudh or Clement or Sladen on? We can talk about Meshery CTL. Oh, there's Clement.
Yeah, I'm on, but I don't think I have much of an update on it just because I've been busy with other things.
No problem. There's a specific issue I thought that we might look at. It's actually an issue that there was a number of people that took the training workshops this last week. They bumped into this. Let me demonstrate it. So if we pull up this issue, it says that that Meshery CTL, the command line client, seems to be missing support for this -T flag, when you're using the system config command. So I wanted to make sure that, like, I think this is a relatively simple example, but it helps everyone get familiar with Meshry-CTL a bit more. And Clement is actually one that you might consider working on. So Meshry-CTL is the command line client to Meshry. Right now, Meshry will run on a bunch of different flavors of Kubernetes. And one of those is Minikube. For different flavors of Kubernetes, you might need to configure Meshry. You need to give Meshry credentials to interface with Kubernetes. The way that you do that today for Minikube is you can execute a command, Meshry-CTL system config. And today the command is Minikube. And what Meshry will do is it will go reconfigure a cube config file. It will go get itself, make sure that it has permissions to talk to Minikube. And when it does that, it also needs permission for itself to execute. So am I sharing my whole screen? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, people can see my terminal. Okay.
Yeah.
So Meshry itself needs permission to go perform this action. And so it needs to have you need to give Meshry-CTL a token, and that to interface with the Meshry server API. So as a user, you'd sign into Meshry, cert Meshry here. You'd go to your user, get the token. When you click that, it downloads, just downloads the token. In this case, for me, the file name is auth-3.json. And so that's just my token in a JSON file. And so in order to execute this command, it expects that you need to provide it a token. And it's not, this particular output doesn't really matter. I'm not running Minikube at the moment, I don't believe. Yeah, I'm not, which is why it probably can't be successful. But so what was happening is certain different individuals are using the shorthand, just -T, instead of having to type out the extra characters. And right now, we intend to support -T, but it doesn't seem to be supported. The version of Meshry-CTL that I'm running is 04.13. And actually, look at that. Meshry-CTL actually checks for the latest release as well. It'll tell you. So I wanted to talk about that issue because a couple of folks had looked at it and weren't quite clear if that still seemed to be an issue or not. And so I wanted to demonstrate it. And so, Sladen, are you on?
Yeah. So one thing I noticed that I'm just getting used to the entire Meshry ecosystem, so forgive me for if I say something dumb. But I noticed that the -T flag was chained with was not chained with Minikube. I think I commented it on the issue. So maybe could you go back to the GitHub issue screen? So yeah, I noticed that, could it be caused because it's chained with Minikube and the -T token wasn't actually supported inside the, if you look there, it's saying that the T flag is, it's there, but it's chained with config and it isn't yet chained with Minikube right now. So could that be the reason why it's not supported?
It might take someone more versed in Cobra than me.
Yeah.
Speak with confidence.
Yeah.
It might be. It might be. Although that seems somewhat odd because the -- token works, and so it may be that this is improper. Like the way that this support for just -T is articulated here or coded here is maybe invalid. Maybe it was supposed, I don't know, maybe it was supposed to be in the same parameter.
Because most of the flags are usually supported once the second argument that you see there is the long version of the flag, and the third argument that you see there is the shorter version of the flag. So there isn't anything odd with the command. But on first looking at it, doesn't look like there's anything odd. But yeah, it might take a little more digging than this to find out why it's not being supported.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If it does turn out to be something, it does turn out to be that one, there's a couple of things. One, we should, and there's a few folks in the community that have been working to try to make sure that we're well designed in terms of the structure of the commands and the subcommands and the flags, and that we're consistent and that we're thinking ahead so we don't have to change the structure on people a lot. But one of those considerations might be that Meshery does interface with a number of different platforms and a number of different service meshes. And at some point, it would make sense if there was potentially a few different things. Like there definitely needs to be the concept of a context, which would be synonymous with an environment. Part of the information that would be provided to Meshery CTL, if you're giving it a context, would be, oh, well, that the context is Minikube and specifically this Minikube, or it's EKS and specifically that EKS. So whether it was like a -T flag for platform or a context, if context was set beforehand, yeah, there's a few different ways I think it's actually not very important that we actually support a shorthand flag, but what is important is to give broader consideration to allowing people to begin to configure their Meshery CTL experience. A very common request has been to not deploy all 8 adapters, but maybe just 1 or 2 based on what people are looking to work with. So I'll come back and highlight the design spec for Meshery CTL and where those designs can be better flushed out.
Yeah, sure.
We had other, did we have other topics that, I know we wanted to talk about Meshery, the Common Adapter Library. But did we have any other topics that did anyone have anything else they needed to demo, or are they stuck on something?
I just shared the link for the visual for the the 1.9 version of console. So
nice. Okay, thank you. Oh, very good. So here's a screenshot of console 1.9's visual topology. Makes sense. Looks familiar for those who've been focused on this. Oh, thanks for that. Is it just the one then, or is there? Oh, here we go. So they got a red here. This is unhappy. Oh, you can click on it, take action, connection denied, and yep. So they. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's great. It is really interesting. Actually, it occurs to me that Tanuj, you were going to talk a little bit about efforts that are going on inside of the websites call every Monday.
Yeah. Should I present my screen? Yeah. Is my screen visible?
It is.
Yes. So current, we were migrating the Layer5.io site to Gatsby framework. So the current status is we have migrated most of the pages, about I would say 90%. The 2 main pages left to be migrated are the Meshery page and the landscape page. Both of them are being worked on currently. And apart from that, the one thing we have left to do is add the Strapi, integrate Strapi into the site, uh, which will be done as soon as we get a deployment of Strapi. Uh, then this is the site at the moment. We are in need of uh, animations inside currently, which will mostly be done using, I think, Lottie. And you can you cannot visit the site currently because the Netlify deployment is down at the moment. Uh, so this is the current site mostly. This page is still left. Mm,
Yeah. How did the community members collection, how's that coming along?
this
Yeah.
currently it's just it's fetching from the markdown file, but when we have Strapi, you can simply add a community member there and it will automatically show up.
Nice.
Instead of sending a PR.
And are those cards clickable?
Yeah, it's clickable, but we need to think of a design which I guess it was a topic of discussion before in the website call.
Makes sense. We got to get that meshmate designation out there as well. Thank you for that, Tanuja. One, I get a couple of things. One is just a good, I had been away from the call for a week and it's nice to see the progress. Two, if this is your thing or front end is exciting to you, there's a bunch of stuff to be done in that call, which is on Mondays. What else? We just have a couple of minutes left. Any comments for Tanuj or a different topic?
Yeah, I had a question, if that's okay.
Please.
Yeah, so my question is, are there any smoke tests written for Meshery CTL? Because I've worked with a bit of Golang command line tools. For example, Gitbug was one that I contributed to a couple of months back, and there was a plan for smoke testing in a way that you supply arguments to the command line and you get a response and then you validate that. So does Meshery CTL have that, or are there plans for that?
No and yes, or in that order. No, it doesn't. Yes, it should. And as a matter of fact, having those smoke tests will probably facilitate some other use cases. There are those that want to automate some of what Meshery does by way of using Meshery CTL to do that. And smoke tests around Meshery CTL might help, depending upon what tooling is used to do that, it would help. I mean, it would help in general with just quality of releases.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Sladen, of the work that you had done, was that GH, the GitHub CLI that you're talking about?
No. Before they released GH, there was something called as Gitbug. So it's a command line tool that kind of manages issues on your command line instead of keep connecting to GitHub. So you can just manage all of your things on your CLI. So it's a pretty popular tool. You'll find it around GitHub.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I used to, you're right. I used to use it a little bit before GH came out and then switched. Nice. Anyone else?
Just for the workshops that you shared, those labs are useful for us to get to know all the layer 5, how it's work and everything.
I think so. Yep. And if you head to layer5io/workshops, you'll have links to the materials. And I think it's a wonderful activity. It's a really healthy activity to self-study the workshop that's there. Excuse me, because you'll get taught, because you'll learn service meshes better. And then depending upon which one you're taking, you'll learn that specific service mesh better. And you'll learn it in context of meshery, which means you'll learn meshery. And then you'll be, you'll have a lot of concepts under your belt.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I want to get a little bit more familiar with, so I can contribute a little bit more. Right now, I just contribute with small, good first pull requests. So I want to be a little bit more involved. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's on that, and this goes out to everyone as well. I think many of you on the call have either seen this short book before, but Eduardo and for the rest of you, there's a short book out here that's free that you can either go give up your email address to get, or we'll just send you a link in Slack. There's a second edition of that should be out in like just 2 weeks, less than that. This one is still worth the read. It's just there's some things that have changed, but this is a great resource to get introduced to the space.
Okay. Is there any way that I could get like more activities like in the development? Because most of the activities I like are like a focus on DevOps. So I could help, but I mean, I need a little bit more help in that area as I'm work with Kubernetes, but just like entry level. So.
Yeah, and so is Golang is a language that you're becoming comfortable with or are comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm becoming comfortable, so I could learn easily. So yeah, I will be happy to learn to help.
Fantastic. The thing that I think some of the rest of us have heard me say before is if Go is your thing, Meshery CTL, that command line client, is an awesome place to ramp up, because it's a smaller, because it's just a smaller code base, and it has a logical flow. You'll get it.
Okay.
And then Eduardo, and this is good for us to have this conversation with others here because it's helpful to them as well. But if is front end your thing at all?
Not much. I mean, I have worked with Bootstrap and JavaScript jQuery, but I'm not a lot of design.
Sure. Yeah. Welcome to the club. I think there's most of us here. So anyway, fair enough. There's a bunch of front end oriented things, but yeah, as you wade in, you'll see those, and if they're of interest, you'll grab them. But it kind of sounds like. But you just to clarify, you said, hey, there's the DevOps stuff, and I see some of that, but I'd like to dig into some of the Golang code that runs Meshery server, that runs the CLI.
Yeah, well, if someone wants to like mentor me, I will be happy to do the work and do the step up to be at their level,
Well, you're in luck with it. That's a perfect question. There are a collection of individuals here that are volunteers, kind of dedicated to doing just that, to like engaging with folks to help them get their feet, get a foothold. And this, based on the conversation we were just having, there are 3 that come to mind as being kind of focused right in that area. So Kush, Vijay, and Nipur. And I'll be amazed if one of them doesn't hit you up after this call. So,
okay.
Fair enough. We are just a few minutes after, and so we shouldn't make anyone later than they already are. It's been a fantastic call. Very nice to have you, Eduardo. Mostly nice to have Stephen. He's here. I love harassing Stephen. It's
I said I hope to contribute someday.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Fair enough. All right. Same time next week. All. We'll see you then.
Okay.
Bye, Clement.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.